up? This is Thumper, the Shredding Hippie. This is the Shredding Hippie Surf Show. So hey man, I'm here to talk about some really cool stuff. Something I've been wanting to talk about for a while, which is single fins rule. And I want to talk to you about how to surf a high performance single fin. So let's talk about, single fins in general. So you can see back here, right, this is my summertime fun board. It's shaped like, really similar to the Scorpion, mini longboard, fun board, however you want to look at it. And I've got it set up as a single fin and a quad, and that's a fun board. But to be honest with you, because of the way that board is, it's not high performance. It really doesn't matter if you ride it as a single fin or as a quad. It feels very similar. It planes the same. You can stand anywhere on the board pretty much and turn it. It's a super safe, fun board. That's why I call them fun boards, man, because they're fun boards. But when we're talking about high performance single fins, that's a completely different deal, man. And if you've ridden these and ridden them as single fins, or ridden your longboard as a single fin, and you think you know how single fins ride, you're absolutely wrong when it comes to high performance. Now, I've been surfing for over 40 years, man, and when I started surfing, that's all there was. I was 10 years old in 1973, and by then longboards had completely disappeared. They were day class A, man. Those things were not cool. You never saw those. What you saw was all of the new shortboards that were coming out, and everything was a single fin. That's all there was. There wasn't anything else. You might find a bonzer here and there, but even a bonzer is just pretty much kind of like a supercharged single fin. It's not like a tri-fin, not at all. So, to surf a shortboard, even though this is a fairly big for, modern standards, this right here is actually it's not, it's a 6'6", but, you try and go from a longboard to a single fin shortboard like this, is going to be very different. If you've spent your whole time just riding tri-fins and quads, you're going to find out that tri-fins and quads, as bitchin' as they are, actually kind of make you a lazy surfer. With a single fin, you have to really know what you want to do with that wave. And so let's first talk about how to take off on a single fin. So, one of the reasons I dig quad fins is because on a quad fin, man, you can take off super late. And if the board is shaped right, you can take off super late and just dig into the side of that wave, and those two side fins are going to keep you high on the side of the wave, and you can just really get slotted in that pocket and just take off and get barreled right off the takeoff, man. That's what I like about quads. Besides the fact they're fun, they're carvy little things. But single fins, totally different deal. Now, I got to be honest with you, man. I hadn't surfed a single fin for a while. I had been doing the tri-fin quad thing for a long time, and I wanted to get back into single fin. So I got my hands on single fin shortboard, high performance board, and I was spinning out and falling all over the place because I'd forgotten how these boards want to be surfed. I'd also pushed the fin super high up. So let's talk about fin placement here. So you can see with this, where you place this fin is going to it's going to completely change the board, man. If you've got a tri-quad and you go from a tri to a quad, it changes the board, but not all that much. It still operates pretty much the same, but you take one of these fins and you add a half an inch, or take off a half an inch, or you put it down a half an inch or up a half an inch, you've completely changed the board. So I had the single fin I was riding. I had the single fin up, not completely all the way, but probably up to right about there. So that's super loose, and I forgot about how loose that makes it. And so what I had to do was I had to remember really quick how to ride a single fin. So if you're riding a single fin and it's, let's say, head high, and you've got the fin up a little higher than you need, there's something you got to do. You got to do the exact opposite of what you would do on a tri-fin or a quad. Tri-fin or a quad, you take off super late. You're going to want to take off and get into the side of that wave as fast as possible so that you can get out of that treacherous, wave pitching over you. Single fins, totally different deal. And you know, if you go back and you look at some of the old photos from the 1970s, you see a lot of bottom turns. Now that's because bottom turns were really important for the strategy of the wave. And it set you up. If you didn't do your bottom turn right, you didn't get the rest of the wave. It's not like today where you can take off and you do 3 or 4 pumps, and it doesn't work like that, man. On a single fin, what you want to do is you want to take off and you want to go straight down the face of the wave. And if you'll notice again, you look at old pictures, especially of pipelines, especially guys going backside, what you're going to see is these radical bottom turns. Because what they used to do, especially a pipeline, is they would take off, and it made it a lot more of a gnarly takeoff, man, because that place is, it's pipeline. You got to go straight down that wave and you load up. You squat down, you load up until you hit the trough. With a single fin, the trough of the wave is the most important part of the wave. Single fins work off of the trough of the wave. So what you do on the takeoff is you take off, you go straight down the face, you load up, and you'd have to have your footing just right over that fin. If you were too far back, you'd spin out. If you were too far forward, it would kick out from underneath you. You had to be right in the right spot over the fin, and you had to learn where your board wanted you to do that. And you would load up until you got to the bottom, and then when you hit the bottom, you would boom, you would unload this big carving bottom turn. And that bottom turn would then throw you into the wave. And you'll see a lot of those old photographs, the guys are behind the lip. The lip is crashing right behind them. And they're doing this big gnarly bottom turn because that bottom turn is going to push them. Now, if you see guys, nowadays what you'll see, instead of what happens now, people, tri-fins, you just boom and you're down the wave. You'll see guys kind of go backward and then nail a bottom turn and go forward. So they take a lot of time setting up that bottom turn, man. Because that's what's going to get you where you want to go. And then what you did is when you hit that bottom turn, then you would almost immediately hop up a step or two up towards the face of the board. And you would plane a little bit. And then you would figure out what you wanted to do. By then you were down the wave and you had an idea of what was going on and you were planning what you were going to do next. See, the other thing about single fins, man, is that you got to think. You got to let the wave surf you. And it's a really, a really cool relationship between you and the wave, man, because you want to do radical maneuvers on that wave, but you've got to wait till the wave gives you that opportunity. It's not like now, man, where people, guys, old school guys like us, man, when we see you guys doing some of those aerials, man, it's like, we appreciate the technique and the skill involved, but it shows us lots of times you have no idea what's going on with the wave, and you ruin the wave. You can do some radical 360 in the air and land back down, but you can't surf the rest of the wave. You're so far back from where the wave is, man, you've lost half of the wave. And, for me, it's like, I lose a lot of respect for your surfing ability because you're not respecting what the wave is giving you, man. So, hey, if you don't know what I'm talking about, that's cool. I understand that. You ride a single fin, you're going to learn pretty quickly how that works. So, while I'm on the subject, this is why I created this surfboard, man. This is the Hypnotic. And what I've done is I took some of the ideas of some modern hybrid performance surfboards and merged it with some old school stuff. So, let's talk about that. When I was riding my Hypto Crypto, as soon as I picked it up, it totally reminded me of mid to late 70s surfboards that we were surfing. Now, sure, some of them have those big wide noses and those tiny tails, you see, but those are designed for big hollow waves. But we were designing boards that had this kind of shape. In fact, some of the earliest single fins were what we call eggs. I could get into that too, but, it's like, the thing is, man, is that some of the new shapers think they're coming up with these new hybrid ideas. In reality, all they're doing is they're coming back around. Because, you know what? Surfboards and waves and water, the laws are still the same. So you're going to end up coming up with the same ideas, even though you think they're brand new. That's the same stuff we did back in the 70s. The difference is, man, for some of these hybrid surfboards, they actually work really well as a single fin. So that's what I had this one made as. And so this one has a lot of volume, old school volume on it. And it's got kind of that old school, almost high performance egg shape to it. so that I can surf it in any conditions. It's big enough and flat enough that I can surf it in, you know, regular summertime mushy conditions, but it's also got enough of a performance rail on it, man, and it's got this nice little rounded pintail so that I can take it out on some bigger stuff. Now, here's where the fin is really important, man, because when as I said, I first started riding at single fins again, I had the fin too far up, so I really had to remember what I was doing. And that board was really super loose, and I'm thinking, wow, I need a bigger surfboard, man. But I forgot, man, all you got to do is just push that fin back. And I pushed the fin all the way back to the end, and it was super stiff. And I knew I could take this out on really big stuff because it would have given me so much hold and so much drive. That's the other thing. Single fins and big waves give you a lot of drive, man. You know, I'm going to say one other thing about that. You know, I've seen a lot of some younger cats, man, surfing single fins, and I love watching that, you know, flipping around YouTube and looking on guys, you know, riding single fins. And I've heard this over and over again. They say, you know, old school with the single fin, you just sort of just hit your track and just go. Like you can't do anything on it. Listen, somebody who talks like that does not understand what a single fin is all about. A single fin is not some boring board that you just sort of stick in one direction and go. That's cool, man. You can do that because a single fin will listen to the wave. And you can just cruise in that wave if you want. But if you know how to surf these things, man, you can set yourself up to do some really radical maneuvers on them. As radical as any of the things that you would do on a tri-fin or a quad fin. But you've got to know how to cooperate with the wave, and that's the fun part, man. You know, if you're just taking off and just doing all kinds of crap on that wave, and the wave is like, what the hell are you doing? You know, it may feel good, but from my perspective, it's kind of superficial, man. You know, it's just not as fun. So we talked about fins. You know, on this board, we've got the single fin. This is a 7.5-inch fin. So if you were just riding it as a single fin, I would ride it with an 8-inch fin. But what I've done is I've taken this 7.5-inch fin and I took those nubsters that FCS uses, which you normally stick, you know, on the bottom and make a 5 fin out of it. And I stuck them here on the side, and I've turned this into a bonzer, man. It's not a true bonzer, but it gives me the benefit of a little bit of added bite and drive, you know, so that, you know, because this is only a 7.5-inch fin. It allows me to get some carve out of it, as well as gives me the feeling of a single fin. So, you know, this board, you've got multiple options. You've got quad fin, you got single fin, you got bonzer. You can also, you know, get an FCS adapter and stick a regular fin in there and make it into a tri-fin. So you've got just so many options with this board, and I would say this is what makes this an all-around board, man. You know, you can't say that about a lot of surfboards, and all-around board that gives you the high performance that you're looking for. So, you know, if you wanted to surf it also, you can surf it as a 2+1. You can stick this in there and then put regular side bite fins on there, and that'll give you a real stable yet carvy board that will, you know, if you want to have that fun board feeling, or if you're new and you want to make your way into single fins, man, and you need a little bits of training wheels, that's a fun board. And I like riding those right on the tail. When I've got the 2+1, I just stick my foot right over the tail and I just surf it from the tail. Really carvy, really fun. And anyway, man, so that's some ideas about single fins, man. The thing about single fins is what you want that you don't get with some of these skatey surfboards, man, is that the amount of pressure that you put into a turn, you're going to get an immediate feedback from the wave. And that feels really cool. You know, skatey boards are fun. You know, fishy boards are fun. But, you know, if you want to get that old school carvy feeling out of your waves, this is the best way to go, man. If you've never tried a single fin, you've never really tried hitting those hard, deep, carvy turns, I highly recommend it, man. You're going to have to learn some stuff, and you're going to have to be patient, and you're going to have to learn how to seduce that wave into giving you what you want. But I tell you, man, it's like when you meet that right chick, you know, and you seduce her just right, and you don't treat her like she's, you know, just any old chick. You treat her like the queen that she is. Man, what she gives back to you is going to be amazing. Same thing with single fins, man. you treat them with respect, and you treat the wave with respect, the carves and the turns and the maneuvers that you do get out of it, I tell you, there's no feeling like it in the world, man. And only those who ride single fins know what I'm talking about, man. Anyway, so that's the scoop, man. That's the Shredding Hippie Surf Show, and that's some tips on single fins, and this is another, plug for the Shredding Hippie surfboard label. We got some new surfboards coming out, but you know what? Let's just stick with the all-around surfboard for a while. And so anyway, if you tried the board, give me a shout out and let me know what you like about it. If you got any questions about it, again, these surfboards are made in the USA, right? Made right here in the USA, made and glassed here in Southern California, in our factory, made by some of the most sought after shapers in the business worldwide, man. They've come together and they've helped me make these surfboards. I sell them to you at a reasonable price. You can, if you want, you can spend $300 or $400 more on a big name brand that might have been, shaped in Thailand or wherever. If you want, man, you can do that. If you want an awesome board shaped by expert California shapers that have been shaping for decades, man, and you want the quality of made in the USA, you're not going to do better than a Shredding Hippie surfboard. All right, so that's it for this time. Until next time, man, shred through your day. It's like when you meet that right chick, old school card.